Sometimes it's nice when things like domestic violence happen to people that are famous, not because I wish it on them at all, but because the video coverage or the interview coverage can be so substantial where a lot of people, just as common folks, it's not. In this case, we're going to look at domestic violence through the lens of Mel B, superstar, Spice Girl, America's Got Talent judge.
I've been abused on every single level, and if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. There's no age or race or amount of money, it comes to abuse. Abuse can happen to anybody, and it does. Global icon, Spice Girl, girl power, and yet there you are saying, actually, you were powerless. I was completely girl powerless. I didn't realise how badly abused I'd actually been, from financially abused, emotionally abused. And my dear friend who wrote the book with me, she put these 15 signs of abuse, which is in the back of my book. Yes. She put that on the table to me, and she said, what's that? What do you think is that? And I went, well, it's a timeline of my marriage.
It chose to highlight Mel B for this video because she has been so publicly expressive about the domestic violence that she went through with her ex-husband, choosing to be a voice for victims who maybe don't have the platform that she does and aren't able to voice things as much as she does. I don't have video clips on her talking about every type of domestic violence, but I do a bunch of them, so we're going to focus on those, and then I will chime in where I'm lacking for videos for her. Red flags or early warning signs.
Can be very subtle to start with.
Did you see any warning signs as you look back on it?
Looking back now, yeah, there was every kind of warning sign, yeah. But the abuser finds you. You don't go looking for that. They find you when you're at your most vulnerable, and they show up like Prince Charming. You think we're loving and caring and respectful, and they couldn't be further from the truth. Did he sweep in and kind of go, I'll take care of you? Because often they're very charming. Very charmed. Almost on my wedding night, things started to happen which were very abusive. But at that point, I didn't understand what that was, and I didn't understand how wrong it was. And also, I took the blame on myself, and I wasn't about to talk about it with anybody because it's so embarrassing and it's so shameful trying to hide your personal life with your husband. You end up taking the blame and thinking that, it's your fault and I have to make this marriage work. But they all have a game plan. And Mel B's ex-husband was actually charged already before I knew him and had a relationship with him with domestic violence on a previous relationship. That's a fact.
Verbal abuse.
Verbal abuse and just the chipping away that he would do at my confidence and integrity. They chip away day by day, hour by hour, week by week, year by year.
During that time, were you able to talk to any of the girls in the band or anybody at all in your friends? Were you able to even discuss what was going on with the beat?
Well, this is the thing. You don't want to discuss it because you're riddled with shame and guilt and you're embarrassed, and you don't think anybody's going to believe you because your abuser is constantly bringing you down, constantly calling you names, constantly making you feel worthless.
So one of the reasons you really don't come forward is because they won't believe you. So why? You feel like you'll get put on trial. You have to prove it.
As a woman that has gone through that, it does crush your soul. It does really strip you of something that takes you like forever. I'm going to be trying forever to get that bit back.
Coercive control.
That's wrong if your boyfriend or if your friend starts stealing your phone or checking who you're texting. It can just start off on little things like that, that then somebody has a bigger plan and they chip away at you constantly. Him taking her money, taking her car keys, telling her what to wear. For that abuser to then say inside your brain that you think it's like what I did. I thought it was normal to not have my phone, normal to not have cash and a credit card on me necessarily, because I was told that I lose things. Everything was justifiable and done for your benefit. It's one thing that an abuser does is they cut you off from your family, your friends, so you really don't have anywhere to turn to. Being away from my family for so long, like a good 10 years, and not really having much communication, and during that time my dad died, he would set rules that I would have to abide by, and some of them were worth fighting for and some of them weren't because the ramifications of that.
We were living within his rules in terms of how he wanted, so the curtains were often closed.
The kids weren't allowed to eat at the table. Kids weren't allowed to eat at the table. I brought them a table and I made sure that
they were a table,
for my kid, that they were allowed to eat presentably acted or just I only hid it. That's from him. Yeah, and of course I heard that. Yeah, there's lots of things I heard, but that was one of the really sad things. And then you're limited. You're not allowed to seem as being driving a car. You don't have control over your finances, which doesn't happen just in one big swoop. It just happens bit by bit. But when you're in that kind of relationship, your life is like a blur. You're on fight or flight now. And I was also being somewhat blackmailed also. So whenever I would go and leave, that I left 6-7 times. There was the whole thing of, well, I'm going to send these videos or I'm going to tell the press exactly what you're like. So I had that hanging over my head, and I didn't want to shame my family. I didn't want to have another failed marriage. So I stayed in it for way longer than I should have.
Behind closed doors, there is horror.
Oh, yeah.
But the reality is very often in public, people who are subjected to domestic violence appear to show a happy, close and loving relationship.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what happens. You put on your armor and you walk out into the world, but behind closed doors, it's very, very different.
Financial abuse.
If somebody's taken away your money, they've taken over, you might have a joint bank account.
Which, by the way, doesn't happen immediately. This happens over time. It can take months, years. Like in my case, I'm working out. I was the main breadwinner. So I'd be working and there'd be an accountant meeting. It'd be like, oh, you're at work. I'll go and take that meeting for you. So you think, oh, he's being really nice when really he's stashing your money somewhere. The X Factor accountant that saw my money go into my account, then he took it out of my account.
Spiritual abuse is something that Mel B doesn't specifically talk about that I have been able to see so far, but it is a type of domestic violence or an aspect of domestic violence that is very effective and very damaging in many relationships. Sexual abuse, even in marriage, is a thing. You are still the owner of your own body. You still have the right to say no. There is definitely a prevailing belief system out there that says, well, once you're married to leaving mine, you no longer have a right to be able to say no. It's okay for you to have a bad day. It's okay for you to have a headache or to be sick and to say no. Maybe you just don't feel like it right now. It is not okay for them to pressure you or, like in Mel B's case, to blackmail her into doing things sexually that you're not okay with, that you're not comfortable with, or that hurt you, or that you just don't feel okay with. You still have a right to say no. Physical violence can include anything from hitting you, slapping you, kicking you, biting you, burning you, throwing you down, pushing you over, slamming doors, punching holes in walls, breaking your stuff, threatening to hurt your kids or to hurt your pets or to hurt you.
Thinking in my brain, well, I have live TV tomorrow. I don't want to be going on and having to cover up another bruise and make up another lie.
Even to hurt themselves. Court abuse. This is a type of abuse that an abuser can use after they're no longer with their previous significant other.
Especially if you have kids and you leave your abuser, then you get abused all over again in the court system because the justice system doesn't support men and women that have gone through that or that have left their abuser.
Court abuse can look like them dragging you into court over and over and over again to force you to have to pay lawyers' fees. It's a control thing also, because if they are taking you to court, they're controlling where you are, where your attention has to be, and they're on your mind because you don't have a choice in that. So it's a control thing. It can also look like taking you to court over the kids, trying to get custody of the kids when you know that they don't actually want custody of the kids. They just don't want you to have them because it will hurt you. And of course, intimate partner homicide, which is where many abusive relationships can end up.
And I'm one of the lucky ones. I got out. Women are suffering. They're suffering every day and they're dying. Like you said, one woman every 4 days dies from either a previous or the current partner, which is shocking.
And it's equally shocking that it's been ignored for so many.
I know.
Intimate partner homicide is something that we talk about on this channel a lot. My passion project is to prevent intimate partner homicide. It is extremely common. Mel B talked about 1 every 4 days. That is a UK statistic. In the United States in 2021, there was like 1,200, which is multiple every day. It is ridiculous how often this happens, and it is considered America's most preventable murder because there are all of these warning signs ahead of time if people will be educated, pay attention, and be willing to act when they see them. So that is why this channel exists, to educate you and to encourage you and to inspire you so that you know what to look for, whether it's in your own relationship or somebody that you care about, and you're willing to act on it, to do what needs to be done to save lives. Quite often, not just the victim, but also the victim's kids and other bystanders. Mel B's story isn't just about physical violence and domestic violence. Financial abuse is one of the most common and powerful ways that abusers control their victims. If you're interested in looking at what the different phases of financial abuse are, seeing what it actually looks like practically lived out, join me in the next video. Until I see you again, please stay safe.
If you've been in that situation, you know it's not right the way that somebody's behaving towards you, but you almost scramble to keep it just happy and fine. Abuse is unacceptable, and I lived it for 10 years with my abuser, my then husband, and I'm living proof that you can come out of it.